Hey, sports fans, welcome to this week's edition of EBC Sports International. I'm Michael Hudson, broadcasting from the Emerald City in Seattle. Thanks for joining us today. With me today on our program are our EBC correspondents from around the world who will discuss sports topics during these interesting times. We hope everyone is staying safe during this pandemic. Now, let's meet our correspondents. In the Quezon City, Philippines, we have Ben Bernaldez.
Good day, sports fans. Welcome to the show.
In Vegas, we have Aljamin Santos.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in.
In the nation's capital, we have Ken Cruz.
As the great Michael Jordan once said, I'm back.
All right. In Vancouver, Canada, we have British Columbia, Jyoti Horvath.
Shout out to my mom who watches every show. Hi, Mom.
And last but not least, we have Zarita Say, the belated birthday girl from Ontario, Canada.
Woo! Hi, everyone.
Woo, happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
We have a little, we'll disclose the details later. And also, we have a special guest tonight, is our up-and-coming boxer from Las Vegas, Kevin Johnson. So we're going to go straight into the interview. We have a very special guest tonight. His name is Kevin Johnson, and Aljamin Santos actually had the opportunity to bring him on the show today. So I'll have you do the introduction, my man.
Thanks a lot, Mike. Kevin, once again, thank you so much for joining us today. We have our upcoming Las Vegas boxer who also goes by the name Kevin Thunderstorm Johnson, who also brings the weather report. Again, thanks again, Kevin, for joining us.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate your time. I know you're a very busy guy. You're continuously training, so we'll go ahead and get right to it. So for the viewers who don't really know who Kevin Johnson is, could you please enlighten our viewers on who Kevin Johnson is? You know, when was the first time that you put those gloves on? And you figured out, man, I love this sport. I'm going to continue to keep doing this. Take us through it, man.
Yes, my name is Kevin Thunderstorm Johnson. Most people don't know, but I was born and raised in Detroit, Michigan. My first time ever putting on gloves I was 16 years old.
Wow.
My brother actually invited me to the boxing gym, and my first day at the boxing gym, I saw him and my cousin. And every time they throw a punch, I counter that punch with my own counter. And I knew I loved boxing. I knew that this is a sport that I want to be in.
So you were able to see a lot of success from the get-go. You were able to figure out your style and figure out, you know, just from the get, you know, right?
Yeah, just from the get-go, man. It's like my coach he put me in. He was like, you know what punch is that? I said, no, what kind of punch is that? He said, that's a counter punch. I'm like, oh, okay. Because all I knew about boxing was hit and not to get hit. So I always stuck to that. You know what I mean? Until this very day, I pride myself on defense.
So Kevin, I have a quick question for you. So what about boxing excites you? I mean, what about the sport that you just love it so much? And what is it about it?
What I love about the combat sport is that it's like a science. It's like you playing tag with each other. And you hit somebody, you tag somebody, but you try to not get tagged back. So it's like I'm keep tagging the guy, and it's hard for him to tag me back. So I won that tag. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And then I just love it. I love the way it goes back and forth. You know.
So Kevin, Ken here. So when it comes to you said you started off at 16, which is, you know, it's in some people's eyes that's a late age for boxing. Some of these guys start when they're like 5, 6, right? So has that affected you in any way when you compete against these guys that have been doing it for literally all of their lives, or do you feel that you're like in the same level as a lot of your opponents?
I feel like I'm in the same level, probably overpassed their level. I've been sparring a lot of good fighters, a lot of superstars. I also sparred with Floyd Mayweather, the champ itself, you know. And and also Terrence Crawford, Devin Haney, upcoming super Tank Davis. A lot of known boxers in these days. Ryan Garcia, and I love the fact that they molded me to become a better Kevin Thunderstorm Johnson. So my game is just elevated, you know.
Dang, yeah. I know that's a pretty like unheard of opportunity, you know, and for someone that's here now in Las Vegas, and you're making a name for yourself,
Right.
That's great. That's a great experience.
My coach always told me, you know, we don't care who they are. We sparring. We don't care who. We smart, and that's what I love, because I love the fight game. I love to fight. I love to box. I love to have some type of new skill to add on to my skill.
Did any of those guys make you nervous before you got in the ring with them? Like anyone in particular? Terrence, Floyd, Money?
I'll say Terrence Crawford. Floyd. I wasn't nervous. I was more excited than nervous.
Yeah.
It was like I could not stop smiling, because I'm like, my dream is coming true. My dream is coming true. And I'm just kept smiling. I'm like, I'm going to show him all the skills that I have, you know?
Nice.
So,
Kevin, Ben here. I have a question for you. How does it feel about sparring with Mayweather, and also you got to spar with Terrence Crawford? What do you feel about, or what do you think about Manny Pacquiao and Crawford facing each other? Who do you think will win?
That's a great question. I don't have no idea who's going to win. It depends on who comes with what. We know Manny Pacquiao is a quicker fighter. He throws more punches than Terrence Crawford, I'd say. But Terrence Crawford is more elusive. He longer, and he pack a much powerful punch than Manny Pacquiao. That's what I think so. So it's gonna be definitely a good match. You know, I feel like Manny Pacquiao will definitely take Crawford for real. I think so. I'm pretty tired. I got Manny Pacquiao on that.
Ooh.
But Manny Pacquiao, I promise you, do not stop. Don't stop punching. Don't stop moving, because if once you move and Terrence Crawford hits you, tell me that boy got power.
Yeah, when you like look at like Manny's like tapes and stuff, like what's the difference between his footwork versus like some of the guys that you sparred, and like even your own footwork? Like you mentioned it yourself a little bit, like he doesn't stop, but like is there something like unique that Manny does that like no other boxer does?
One thing about Manny Pacquiao is that you cannot imitate his style. I tried doing that, because I can imitate every boxer. Like seriously, I can imitate every boxer, and I imitated Mike Tyson. I imitated Muhammad Ali. And I do all of these boxers good, but Manny Pacquiao is different, because it's like he punches with his feet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's a pretty good way to describe that.
Well, have you seen his calves? His calves are like the size of like tree trunks. I think that might help.
Yeah, he's got boxing gloves.
Yeah. Hey Kevin, another question for you. Is there a particular boxer that you've always looked up to, someone that just inspires you to be, you know, the best that you can be?
Mike Tyson is the one that I feel like he inspired me. He's one of my favorite fighters, you know, and the way he, I don't know if you guys seen his recent
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
And yeah, he still has it. He's not old to me. He still has it.
Well, what do you think his chances are? What do you think his chances are? You know, should he fight? You know, a 3-rounder or a 6-rounder versus Holyfield?
I feel like we don't know what Mike Tyson brings. We don't know how in shape that Evander Holyfield is as well, because Evander Holyfield looks great for his age.
Yeah.
You know, we don't know what it brings. That's why it's a tell of the tape. You know, we have to find out who's gonna conquer that sparring match or that fight.
So if you had the opportunity to spar Tyson, would you do it?
That's a heavyweight.
I would.
Hey, why not?
I feed myself on learning and getting better.
It's a great attitude right there. I think you can learn a whole lot from Tyson. You know, how to run, how to dodge a wrecking ball.
Kevin, can you walk us through like your feelings when you were told that you were going to join the Money 2018, the TNT?
My feeling was overwhelmed. It was a great feeling. I feel that it's about time that someone recognizes me and my talent. I'm happy. The way we growing, me and the Mayweather promotions growing, and we just basically building Kevin Thunderstorm Johnson to bigger height. So I'm excited.
So what's next for you? What do you want?
What I want is a championship title. So I'm definitely hoping and wishing that Josh Taylor, he's 140, he's a 140 champion. So I'm definitely looking for him. And we don't know what the future holds, but Kevin Johnson gonna continue to build up fights and get some knockouts in my record.
Yeah. So then, like, how's your training during? I mean, like, this is one of the craziest times. Like, I'm sure, like, for everybody, right? But especially you as like a pro boxer. So, like, you know, like, how are you training? How are you keeping tip-top shape during the pandemic?
Oh, I'm always training, you know, and as you can see.
Oh man, there we go.
We got some training. So
some exclusive behind the scenes right there.
I'm always keeping in shape. I'm always running, you know.
Gotcha.
So just to be in tip-top shape for the future. After this over and the fight start rolling in, there'll be a lot of big.
Absolutely. Well, hey, Kevin, we really appreciate your time, my man. I know you have to take off and get into training, but we really thank you for your time. We're always going to be here to support you and follow you throughout your throughout now and the rest of your career. We wish you the very best. But before you go, so is it safe to say that Mike Tyson's the GOAT for you?
I'm the GOAT. I'm the greatest.
There we go.
All right, that's what we like.
Yeah, love that.
You heard it here first. EBC Sports exclusive.
Yeah, there we go. That's awesome, man. Well, hey, thank you, Kevin. Appreciate it. Much love, man.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin.
All right, so we just spoke to Kevin Thunderstorm Johnson, and you know, totally blown away. I mean, it's pretty awesome about you know, what he's going to be doing as far as his boxing career goes. So speaking of GOAT, you heard it yourself. Kevin thinks he's the GOAT. There's a list that came out recently listing the top 10 boxers of all time. I want to get your guys' thoughts. Ken, I'll start with you.
Well, it's kind of, you know, strange, like, seeing this list. This is the Fox Sports one, I believe. So, like, it has, like, Floyd at the top, Manny Pacquiao second, and then number 4 is Ali with Sugar Ray at number 5, which is, I think, a travesty, first and foremost, right? I mean, like, for me, I think it's as clear as Michael Jordan being the GOAT of basketball that Ali is the GOAT of boxing. I mean, even with the fact that, you know, he was, you know, he had the whole, like, you know, politics part of his, career where he couldn't fight for so many years because his refusal to fight in the war. You know, he still came back, got himself some more belts. And, you know, the guy was just polarizing, especially, like, and you know, he talked the talk, walk the walk. I feel like if you know, there's anyone that deserves that GOAT title, it has to be Muhammad Ali.
Yep.
Yeah, you know what?
Yeah, go ahead, Jolty.
All right, I was going to say, although the NBA GOAT talk, it might not be so clear, Ken, but this one I agree with you on. Ali is the definite number 1. I would still put Floyd at probably a 1B, just because of his record. You know, you can't go, you know, 50-0 and not top 2, right? Manny Pacquiao at number 2 on that list, I don't know if I agree with. I just don't know. Like, Joe Louis would be up there, way, like, higher than he is on that list for me. Tyson's not even on that list. Holyfield's not on that list. Right, like this list just seems a bit skewed to me. It's more of well, like all lists, it's more opinion than fact, right?
Yeah, I think that a lot of this, especially in the top 2, or a lot of it's just like, you know, like being a victim of the times, right? I mean, these are the most recent great boxers, and so they put them at the top, which is still kind of crazy to me. I mean.
So with that
That's my
being said,
third. Muhammad
so with that
Ali is
being,
fourth.
oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So Zarita, what are your thoughts on the list so far?
To be honest, I'm not really a huge boxing fan, but even I know, like, putting Ali that low is just not right. The way that Michael Jordan has that effect that transcends beyond basketball, I think Ali's like that as well. He has impacted so many athletes, so many different sports across the board that I think it's a bit of an insult to put him that low. For me, I think he'd probably be number one.
Ben, why do you think Ali is ranked so low on this list?
Well, first of all, ranking the best fighters in boxing is very subjective. It's prone to overrating, underrating sometimes, and a lot of disagreements. Because if you have to think of the records, championships, or their appeal to the fans, that's where the criteria goes. But for me, I would definitely put Ali as number one, as the greatest boxer of all time. First, his wins, the championship, and his appeal with the fans, and what Ali has brought to many. Not comparing to Jordan, that Ali is more of very opinionated, and he is also very important as well. In overall, his influence in all among athletes has greatly influenced a lot of athletes, not only in boxing but also in other sports. Even Michael Jordan idolized Ali, and even other great sporting athletes who idolized Ali because of his personality and what he brought in the world of sports. Number two would be Manny Pacquiao, of course. There's no doubt about it.
Okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I think it's safe to say that all of us are in agreement that Muhammad Ali's number one. Like what Ben said, these lists are always going to be subjective. So, but yeah, it was great interviewing Kevin. It's great to see, the future.
The future goat. The future goat.
Yeah, just how excited. You can just tell the excitement in his eyes and just how much he loves the sport of boxing. So looking forward to seeing him. So we're going to go ahead and take a break. Don't go away, because after this break, we're going to be discussing the last episodes of The Last Dance, as well as Tom Brady's upcoming documentary, Man in the Arena. EBC Sports International will be back in a moment.
Iba't iba man ang pinanggalingan, iisa lang ang pinangahawakan. Ang pangarap na makilala sa kanilang larangan. Mas titindi pa ang performances ng ating mga TNG aspirants dito lang sa pinakabago at pinakamalaking talent competition ng Philippine Television. Ito ang...
Tagisan ng Galing is presented by SMC Infrastructure, building a better world. Sandig sugar-free white coffee, puno ng white coffee taste without the sugar, kaya lower calories. Try mo na Sandig sugar-free white coffee. Sarap ng white coffee, now sugar-free. Vet-approved Nutrichunks, the only premium dog food with active boost for optimum energy and prebiotics that help strengthen immunity. Just like Catherine Bernardo, gawing listo ganado ang fur babies niyo. Listo ganado sa Nutrichunks. Magnolia Chicken Templados, delicious, ready to cook and freshly marinated daily. Pure Foods Luncheon Meat, pure sarap for every family. Star Chunky Cheese Corned Beef, ang cheesy ng corned beef mo. Walang duda, kids can tell na number one ang Pure Foods Tender Juicy. Ang tender, ang juicy, ang sarap. Co-presented by Cooper, expert in air conditioning and electromechanical. Also engaged in structural, electrical, fire protection, plumbing, and sanitary services. Cooper, your ultimate MEPS and air conditioning solutions. Unlad Incorporated International, fight against global poverty. New San Jose Builders Incorporated. Canrib Corporation, your ventilation and air conditioning specialist. Vita Herbs Philippines Green Coffee, masarap, mabango, at healthy pa. Puerto Rico Resort and Convention Center, Cabiao, Nueva Ecija. I love Puerto Rico. participation with Rain or Shine Elastomeric Waterproofing Paint. Colorful protection for your home. Matimco. Matimco is wood. Wood is Matimco. Our Square Variables Incorporated, your trusted UPS supplier and UPS maintenance provider in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. CompuZell Computer Services, ID card and lanyard manufacturer. Saisho International Trading Corporation, DN Steel, IMAC UPB Roof Corporation.
Listo at ganado ang baby ko sa vet-approved Nutri-Chunks with active boost and prebiotics na pampalisto. Made with real meat, with essential nutrients to help them grow healthy and happy. Listo, ganado sa Nutri-Chunks.
Star Tollway is a 41.9-kilometer highway that stretches out from Santo Tomas, Batangas all the way to Batangas City. An important component of the company's portfolio, the NAIA Expressway project is a 5.4-kilometer elevated expressway that connects the Skyway system to NAIA Airport terminals and the entertainment city. SMC Infrastructure's ventures also include other projects aside from the toll road business.
Hey, Aggression Ho here, and I'm a white coffee lover. Creamy kasi, and very yummy. Pero mas masarap kung hindi nakaka-guilty. Check my new discovery, Sandmade Sugar-Free White Coffee. Puno ng white coffee taste without the sugar, kaya lower calories. Try mo na! Sandmade Sugar-Free White Coffee. Sarap ng white coffee, now sugar-free.
Ikaw lang ang star ng buhay ko. Para sa akin, perfect ka. Ibang klase ang sarap ng corned beef mo. Ang cheesy ng corned beef mo. Pag Star Chunky Cheese Corned Beef, sarap ng corned beef, inangat pa ng real cheese cubes. Kaya perfect ang sarap. Star Chunky Cheese Corned Beef.
Hey, sports fans, welcome back to EBC Sports International. I'm Michael Hudson reporting from Seattle, Washington. Before we get into our main topics tonight, Jolty has some Canadian Football League news for us. Jolty, take it away.
Thanks, Mike. So you might remember a couple of weeks ago I mentioned the Canadian Football League was asking the federal government to provide financial assistance of up to $150 million. Well, the federal government still hasn't officially responded, but the provincial government of Ontario, where Zarita's from, stated they will not be helping out their 3 CFL franchises with a bailout. And in wake of that, yesterday the Canadian Football League released a few updates regarding their upcoming season, and a lot of it came as no surprise. In a statement sent to season ticket holders across the country, Commissioner Randy Ambrosi stated the league hopes to return in September following multiple delays due to the COVID-19 pandemic. It was also mentioned that the Saskatchewan Roughriders would not be hosting this year's championship game anymore. However, they'll be hosted the 2022 Grey Cup. This year, if there is a season, the team with the best record that qualifies for the Grey Cup will host the championship game. This will give all 9 teams a chance at hosting the event. And last but not least, the annual Touchdown Atlantic event, which showcases 2 teams playing in the Maritimes. The Maritimes, of course, is the east coast, even east of Toronto, and they don't have any teams out there. And every year there's one game that's played out there. This year's matchup was supposed to include Toronto and Saskatchewan playing in Halifax. Tickets for this marquee matchup were sold out, and the league stated they'll be contacting fans directly who purchased tickets to let them know of their options. Back to you, Mike.
Thanks, Jolty. So for more Canadian sports news, let's check in with the report sent to us by our correspondent in British Columbia, Anthony Sevilla, who has an exclusive interview for us. Let's check it out.
Hello, everyone. I'm Anthony Sevilla from Vancouver, and I'm joined with a special guest today. He's the Vice President of the Fraser Valley Bandits of the Canadian Elite Basketball League. Thanks for joining with us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Anthony. I'm very excited to be here.
For those who don't know what the CEBL is, can you just elaborate what the difference between the CEBL is and other leagues in North America?
The Canadian Elite Basketball League is a domestic professional league here in Canada. So very similar to what you would see in domestic leagues, potentially in the Philippines or in Europe or in the rest of Asia, where a significant portion of the players will be from that specific country. So for us, 70% of our players have to be Canadian. As you might know, like Canada is becoming one of the premium producers for players in the NBA. So for us, we thought, well, why isn't there an opportunity for players to play domestic here in Canada? Why not create an opportunity to show people here in Canada what type of level of talent we have that represent?
So the league was supposed to tip off earlier this month. Is there any updates of the league and what's planned for the foreseeable future?
Yeah, for at least this summer, we're exploring a lot of options. Right now, we have not canceled this season, but our league was built to withstand these kind of situations. So we're back next summer no matter what, but we want to be back on the court this summer. So we'll find out soon what's happening once we get more information from the federal government and the health authorities.
So a lot of leagues are going the route of no fans in the stadiums. Do you feel that the CEBL is going in that direction, and do you think the league can sustain that?
We are a ticket revenue generating league. That is one of our primary sources of revenue, and honestly, without that, I'm not sure how we would operate. But if that is the case going into next summer, then I know our league will look at ways to generate revenues in other ways to make sure that we can withstand these type of situations. But most importantly, just making sure people are safe, staying strong during these times, and helping each other be safe.
So you guys have been very open to supporting frontliners during this pandemic. Is there anything you guys have planned?
Yeah, we're looking at ways that we can provide the frontline workers with an opportunity to attend a game for free by working with our local community partners as well to make that happen, whether that be for the home opener in 2021 or for our first responders night. Yeah, we're looking at ways that we can do something special for them.
Thanks, Dylan, for joining us today. That was Dylan Kular, Vice President for the Fraser Valley Bandits of the Canadian Elite Basketball League. From Vancouver, Anthony Sevilla, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
Thank you so much, Anthony. Really appreciate the report. So we're going to go ahead and dive into our first topic of tonight. We're going to stick with basketball. So when we first started this home edition of this program, we started talking about the much anticipated Michael Jordan documentary, The Last Dance. Episode by episode, week by week, we had very lively and opinionated discussions. Well, gentlemen and lady, we've come and gone through the last two episodes. I'm going to start with you, birthday girl. Zarita, what was your main takeaway from the documentary?
Mine was he's one of the greatest, if not the greatest. Sorry, Zolty. For a reason, and we finally get to see why. Like, we hear the stories of how competitive he was, all the stories behind the shot, the flu game, all these things, and to see firsthand of his own encounter, how he saw those situations. There's no argument. I'm sorry, Zolty. I know there is an argument on your case, but I'm just going to say he's the greatest for the reason. The shot, like, we see the story behind the shot. We see Pippen's contract signing. We see the behind the scenes of, like, Rodman shenanigans. We see that the flu game is actually called the poison game. Like, there's just so many things that we could talk about. And again, we know why he's the greatest.
Yeah, just like how Michael Jordan is the GOAT of basketball, The Last Dance is the GOAT of sports documentaries. You know, it's one of those things where, I just love how non-linear it was. You know, like, it's like you see these different documentaries that go from, like, all right, from the time that this person was born up until the present time, here's what happened, right? Here's a line. But, like, this one would skip from years, from, like, 84 to to 93 to 97 to 98, and I love that there's a reason for that, because like usually you're just wondering like, why did it go back to 93? And then you see later on in that episode, what led up to that, like in 97 or 98, right? And so like for me, like just how they packaged it, I mean, we had to wait over 20 years for this, and if there was a time for this to be released, when everyone is stuck at home, like this is masterfully done. I mean, that's one of the great things about Mike's MJ's like whole reason for not allowing his name to be or his likeness to be licensed. A lot of us that grew up in the 90s, we couldn't play him. I think it was an NBA Jam, right? He wasn't in the game.
Yeah.
And,
he was. It was just a different name. And
just like player 99 or something like that.
Yeah, it was like number 45 or something, right?
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Like, because he had such a good hold on his name, like this documentary didn't see the light of day until now, and like. If there was a perfect time to release it, now's the perfect time. We saw it, we wept. I think probably I just want to end with like my favorite part from the last like 2 episodes was I wouldn't say favorite part, but like it was just cool to see how like John Stockton, he revered like how great that Bulls team was, but he wasn't like he didn't hold Michael Jordan to that like GOAT standard, and I really respected him for that. Not being scared of your opponent, and like, he played that way, and I thought that was like extremely awesome to see. And then 2, I think Tony Kukoc was extremely undervalued in this entire documentary. The dude, especially in the last 3 championships, was he was. One like probably the 3rd most or 4th most important guy, and like Steve Kerr got way more camera time than he did, and that's crazy to me.
Yeah, I think it's because Steve Kerr is a lot more relevant, being head coach of the Golden State Warriors. But those are really good points. Ajim, I have a question for you. With this documentary coming out as it did, a lot of the younger generation got to see Michael Jordan, especially the people that weren't born during his playing days. So, do you think? Do you think that this documentary has really ingrained in their minds that Michael Jordan is the GOAT? Do you think it's changed their minds in any way? What do you think?
I think the younger generation was able to see the man behind the legend. And I think that's what will ingrain in their minds how great Michael Jordan was, and he continued to still be great as a person. Just the younger generation was just able to see the end result. As someone that watched him as he played and as he developed as a player, you kind of learned to appreciate that beforehand. So when this documentary came out. A lot of the younger fans and the ones that revere all these new players now as the greatest, I'm not going to say any names, Jolty, but, they were able to see like what makes Michael Jordan great, and it was his killer instinct to win, his work ethic that a lot of players have adopted from watching Michael Jordan. And I think that the younger generation will start to really understand why and how you can really measure up who they think in their generation is the greatest of all time, up to Michael Jordan. And I think it's going to be a little bit more of an educated, decision on who they revere as the greatest of all time. And I like the point that Ken brought up about John Stockton. John Stockton was a great point guard in his day too. And I don't think he got enough light on him, but that's just who John Stockton was. He wasn't a guy who was after the spotlight. He was after the championship. And you could see it on his face every time, that smug look on his face that was like, that I'm going to go, man. That those pursed lips that like, I'm focused, let's get this. And they had it. And they had it. And it just was unfortunate that Karl Malone had lapsed in his vision that Michael Jordan was able to steal that ball, but it was anybody's game, and I think that the younger generation will appreciate Michael Jordan for what he has brought to the game and all the influence that he gives to all these players. And as much as we say Kobe now, whenever we throw that piece of paper into the wastebasket, it was Jordan. When you're on the basketball court, you shoot that haymaker from far away, from deep, you're just like, Jordan. And
there we go. Fade away.
That's exactly. And you know
absolutely.
What? For sure, yeah.
Yeah, right, so Jolte, I know you're chomping at the bit, so go ahead, man.
So, I've been called out twice now. I'm not going to bring up who's the GOAT. I'm just strictly going to talk about this documentary just because I don't want to prove you guys wrong. So anyway, I'm actually kind of upset that this documentary is over. Just because, looking back on a career that I didn't get a chance to witness live, gave me, like you guys are saying, gave me a new perspective of not only the type of player he was, but the type of work he put in and the type of person he was off the court as well. And like, for instance, I didn't know about his dad, that his dad was murdered. And not only about Michael Jordan, but about other players on those teams as well. I didn't know Steve Kerr's dad was murdered. Like, I didn't know that, right? The one thing that I do hope they do, a lot of times these reality shows will have an after show, kind of like a reaction show that brings some of the people that were in the documentary back just to get their reaction, simply because there have been reports that Scottie Pippen doesn't like the way he's been portrayed in this documentary. Jerry Reinsdorf doesn't like the way the last episode portrayed him. It would be cool to kind of get some perspective from them as to why they don't like the way they were portrayed. Like Scottie Pippen, I didn't see anything wrong with the way they portrayed him in any of the episodes. So I would just like to see more depth in those situations.
Great. Hey guys, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break, and we're going to continue on with our discussion. So we'll be right back after these moments.
Iba't iba man ang pinanggalingan, iisa lang ang pinangahawakan. Ang pangarap na makilala sa kanilang larangan. Mas titindi pa ang performances ng ating mga TNG aspirants dito lang sa pinakabago at pinakamalaking talent competition ng Philippine Television. Ito ang...
Tagisan ng Galing is presented by SMC Infrastructure, building a better world. Sandig sugar-free white coffee, puno ng white coffee taste without the sugar, kaya lower calories. Try mo na Sandig sugar-free white coffee. Sarap ng white coffee, now sugar-free. Vet-approved NutriChoice, the only premium dog food with active boost for optimum energy and prebiotics that help strengthen immunity. Just like Catherine Bernardo, gawing listo, ganado ang fur babies niyo. Listo ganado sa NutriChoice. Magnolia Chicken Templados, delicious, ready to cook and freshly marinated daily. Pure Foods Luncheon Meat, pure sarap for every family. Star Chunky Cheese Corned Beef, ang cheesy ng corned beef mo. Walang duda, kids can tell na #1 ang Pure Foods Tender Juicy. Ang tender, ang juicy, ang sarap. Co-presented by Cooper, expert in air conditioning and electromechanical. Also engaged in structural, electrical, fire protection, plumbing, and sanitary services. Cooper, your ultimate MEPS and air conditioning solutions. Unlad Incorporated International, fight against global poverty. New San Jose Builders Incorporated. Canrib Corporation, your ventilation and air conditioning specialist. Vita Herbs Philippines Green Coffee, masarap, mabango, at healthy pa. Puerto Rico Resort and Convention Center, Cabiao, Nueva Ecija. I love Puerto Rico. participation with Rain or Shine Elastomeric Waterproofing Paint. Colorful protection for your home. Matimco. Matimco is wood. Wood is Matimco. Our Square Variables Incorporated, your trusted UPS supplier and UPS maintenance provider in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. CompuZell Computer Services, ID card and lanyard manufacturer. Saisho International Trading Corporation, DN Steel, IMAC UPB Roof Corporation.
Listo at ganado ang baby ko sa vet-approved Nutri-Chunks with active boost and prebiotics na pampalisto. Made with real meat, with essential nutrients to help them grow healthy and happy. Listo, ganado sa Nutri-Chunks.
To date, SMC infrastructure remains at the forefront of Boracay Airport's modernization. The current and long-term developments include the construction of an international airport passenger terminal and the extension of the existing runway to better serve bigger aircrafts, providing tourists with world-class access to this slice of paradise.
Hey, Gretchen Ho here, and I'm a white coffee lover. Creamy kasi, and very yummy. Pero mas masarap kung hindi nakaka-guilty. Check my new discovery, San-Made Sugar-Free White Coffee. Puno ng white coffee taste without the sugar, kaya lower calories. Try mo na! San-Made Sugar-Free White Coffee. Sarap ng white coffee, now sugar-free.
Bakit natin ipinagluluto ang mga mahal natin? We want them to feel special. Sa meaty luncheon meat that we serve. If your pure intentions had a taste, it would taste like Pure Foods. Pure Sarap, Pure Foods luncheon meat.
Welcome back, sports fans. You are watching EBC Sports International. I'm Michael here in Seattle, Washington. So we're going to continue with our discussion on The Last Dance, the final 2 episodes. A lot of great points thus far. Ben, we're going to go to you. Any main takeaways that you have from the final 2 episodes or from the documentary in general?
First of all, it was greatly produced, the greatest sports documentary ever showed in television and all sorts of media platforms. Episode 9 and 10, it was spectacular. Other episodes were charged with, how Jordan earlier playing career in Chicago, but the last 2 took time to really drill down into the Bulls' near loss to Indiana Pacers in the and then a rematch with the Jazz in the '98 finals. It brought me back to where I was 16 years old. It felt like I was brought in that era when I watched how the Bulls and the Pacers battled, and it was very physical. And according to Jordan, it was the Pacers of Reggie Miller's time was really the hardest team that they fought, and there's the real sense of the Bulls fans that their heroes might end their career by the Pacers. And we also got to see how Reggie Miller and Jordan had this skirmish on the floor, and it also showed Reggie Miller wasn't afraid of Jordan and during his interview, but also he respects Jordan as well. The same way with Jordan, how he sees Reggie Miller and the Indiana Pacers. And also the Jazz game, where you can see how it also explained how the speculation that Jordan pushed Byron Russell during that play. And it was clearly push. It wasn't a push because Byron Russell is already his position and his force is going to the other way. It was just a little tap on his foot, and it was really a no push that time. And it's really also my last take on that is that how the team, after they won the championship, they also credited Jerry Krause for his effort, and he was also considered as the greatest general manager of all time for Jordan and Phil. And at the first episode, we see how Jerry Krause as the villain, but in the end, it was Reisendorf who really was at fault. And then he tried to convince Phil Jackson and the rest of the team to come back, but apparently it was really him who had the reason for the breakup for the Bulls. And they could have won their seventh championship if they can continue to play. I guess.
Absolutely.
But it's still, it was the best way to end.
Yeah, and I think the documentary did a good job of just providing the evidence and having you decide the reason why they broke up or whatnot. Ken, I did have an additional question for you. So after watching the documentary, was there something else that you craved that you just wanted to see, that you felt the documentary was missing, or did you feel that it satisfied everything that you were?
It's kind of hard just because they only had access to the play, to pretty much the Bulls team that entire year. That was the time that they had exclusive access. One thing I can say is that Dennis Rodman is low-key one of the greatest WCW wrestling greats of all time, one episoder. The fact that he was able to escape the media was hilarious to me.
Oh yeah.
And the fact that these little things that they show, like little tidbits of how MJ was so close to security guards, how much they played in his life. I mean, those little personal pieces, I think humanize Michael Jordan, who was looked at as above and beyond a normal person, which he was. I mean, at that time, it was the three Michaels, right? Michael Jordan, Michael Jackson, and Mike Tyson. And so, I mean, it was the time of the Michaels, including Michael Hudson. No, I'm just kidding.
What can I say, man? What can I say?
Were you named after Michael Jordan?
After Michael Jackson.
Hey, all right.
Another Michael, great Michael there.
It's the first time I actually learned this. Great news.
If I could add real quick, I don't know if any of you guys noticed, but did you kind of feel kind of sorry for Michael Jordan at some point in the documentary?
I think it was episode 8. Was it episode 6 or 7? I think it's the one where it was just 7, the one where he was did you sacrifice your your kindness for your what is it, your I can only think of Mamba mentality, but your competitiveness. And he was he talked about he was if you take it that way where you're offended at how much I want to win and make everyone better, then that's on you. And I was dude, that really got me, because it was just I'm a competitive guy, but that's a whole different level where he's just that competitive where he didn't even see other people's feelings. And I'm just that's intense,
Yeah.
It's go talk.
Yeah, for me, I didn't feel sorry for Michael Jordan at all at any point as he sat in his mansion. One thing I did really appreciate about the series is, for whatever reason, I thought they were going to avoid some scandals about Michael Jordan, but they actually they directly addressed it, the gambling, the conspiracies about his father, the reason for his father's murder, his retirement. I thought they were going to kind of beat around the bush about it, but they went directly in on it, and I think that's another great thing that we got to see insight on.
Absolutely. I think that's a really good point. Quick question for you guys. Do you think they should make a documentary on his Wizards years, or should they just stop?
That's a one-episode documentary.
They're going to call that the worst of all time. For sure. No need.
So what basketball documentary do you think they should do next?
Definitely has to be Kobe Shaq.
Yeah. Kobe Shaq here.
But apparently Kobe gave access to a team for his final season. So that's another report. Of
Was that Spike Lee's team or was that somebody else's team?
I think it's a different team. And I know they're doing one with the Redeem team also. Dwayne Wade is producing.
I think that one would be amazing. That would be amazing, especially with those guys on that team because they lost in 2004 and that was so embarrassing. And then I remember where I was when those guys were all announced that they were all going to be on this team, Kobe and everything. But it's just we need to see that.
Well, speaking of
that Clippers documentary.
Oh,
that Clippers documentary about
the Chris Paul one.
Yeah, the Chris Paul one.
Oh,
I think that one's gonna resonate.
Yeah, that's going to be really good.
Yeah.
But speaking of documentaries, guys, we're going to switch lanes here and talk about. We're going to go from the GOAT of the end of basketball to the GOAT of the NFL. Yep, I said. The trailer of the ESPN documentary of who some would consider the greatest QB of the NFL, Tom Brady, has been released. Let's talk about one of our recurring topics on this program. Tom Brady. Jolty, since you're such a huge TB12 fan, I'm going to start with you, man. What are your preliminary thoughts on the documentary?
Okay, picture this. The opening scene is going to be him moving into his old folks retirement community in Tampa, Florida this year.
With 7 of his rings, right? 7 of his rings.
It's not that I'm not a big fan of him. I just don't think he's going to do well in Tampa. This documentary, though, it's got me pumped up. Like, even just seeing the trailer, it doesn't show too much. Like, it's only basically him talking and then like a few clips of him in college and as a kid. But I mean, I grew up in New England, in Connecticut. So my entire childhood was either the Patriots or the Giants, but mostly Patriots because I was in New England. And I don't fully know his backstory. I mean, I know he came out of Michigan. I know he was the 7th quarterback drafted. There's already a documentary called The Brady Six, which highlights the 6 quarterbacks drafted before him. But just to get to know his backstory, I really hope they make it like this Jordan documentary, because I'm pretty sure ESPN's doing this one too. I'm excited for it. I'm really excited for it. And it's not that I'm not a Brady fan, Mike. He's not going to do well in Tampa.
Do you think that Brady is going to be as in Tampa as MJ was in the Wizards? Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, he moved down there to get out of snowy New England. It's going to be nice and warm. He's making crazy bank. He can chill on the beach during his off days. He can play. You know how many golf courses there are in Tampa? He's playing like on Monday.
Oh man,
he's literally playing.
Literally playing. Ben, what are your thoughts? What are your takeaways on the documentary that's coming out? What do you think it's going to show?
I think they're doing a big of his documentary after The Last Dance, and of course, for a lot of football fans, they would really want to see this. But I watched a feature on Tom Brady on I think on ESPN E60, and how he from being drafted for not the top draft in the NFL to winning numerous NFL championship. I want to see a different side of story on this documentary of his, and I think it's a partnership with his production and also ESPN. And we'll see. We want to see a different side of Brady and what other, because we've seen a lot of good things on his professional career in the NFL. But unlike watching The Last Dance, we haven't seen some of the footages of the Bulls. We want to see how he developed as one of the greatest quarterback in the NFL. But we'll see if this will be also a great hit, and there will be a lot of viewers who will watch it.
You know what I'm concerned with is that Phil Jackson's a great interview, right? So I think that's what helped The Last Dance, be on that top tier, is that, everyone interviewed, or like the main guys interviewed, were great interviews. They had, great sound bites. Belichick's a horrible interview. So I'm not sure how this is gonna go. He's just gonna like mumble into the mic. I mean, he literally has nothing interesting to say. So I mean, like his actions speak for themselves. So I'm sure they're gonna find a very interesting way of portraying it. But I mean, like if there's a guy that a guy's guy that like most American guys like aspire to be, it's Tom Brady. The dude, poster boy who went from like zero to hero, has like an amazing wife, supermodel wife, is a winner. I mean, it's just one of those things with people love winners, and I think this guy is Mr. If there's a Captain America, it's Tom Brady, and so it's one of those things where I would be interested to see the little like potholes in his career, because as far as I mean, absolutely there was the whole like Deflategate and all that, but I mean, like as far as like him specifically, like the guy has been pretty clean throughout his career, so I'm curious to see like how they portray like the dark side of Tom Brady. I mean, there's 9 episodes, so that has to be something.
Absolutely. So this documentary will be coming out next year, 2021. So we'll stay tuned, and I'm sure we'll have more discussions on that. So that's all we have for this week's edition of EBC Sports International. On behalf of everyone on our panel, thank you for joining us, and be sure to tune in next week. Make sure to visit our websites at eaglenews.net and eaglenewslive.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/eaglenewsph. Share your thoughts and comments. But before we end tonight, we have to again wish our lovely Zarita a happy birthday.
Woo! Happy birthday!
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday! Happy birthday to you.
Any last words, Zarita? Any a speech for everybody?
Gotta end my 20s with a bang. That's all I got.
There we go.
Well, that wasn't a bang. Sorry.
All right, guys. Well, hey, thanks for watching. I'm Michael Hudson. We live in interesting times.
Iba't iba man ang pinanggalingan, iisa lang ang pinangahawakan. Ang pangarap na makilala sa kanilang larangan. Mas titindi pa ang performances ng ating mga TNG aspirants dito lang sa pinakabago at pinakamalaking talent competition ng Philippine Television. Ito ang...
Tagisan ng Galing is presented by SMC Infrastructure, building a better world. Sanding sugar-free white coffee, puno ng white coffee taste without the sugar, kaya lower calories. Try mo na Sanding sugar-free white coffee. Sarap ng white coffee, now sugar-free. Vetaproof Nutrichunks, the only premium dog food with active boost for optimum energy and prebiotics that help strengthen immunity. Just like Catherine Bernardo, gawing listo, ganado ang fur babies niyo. Listo ganado sa Nutrichunks. Magnolia Chicken Templados, delicious, ready to cook and